There we go. Too many buttons. All right. So after that, we are going to check to see if we're live streaming. Justin, did you already do that check? Okay. While he is checking to see that the live stream is working, which would be good because I did get an email from a member of the public asking if it would be live streamed today so that she could watch. Yeah, we're good? Excellent. Okay, then let's go ahead and do a roll call. We'll start over here with Thomas.
Thomas Dewhurst, member.
Dave DeBack, member.
John Cruiser, member.
David Benak, chair.
Rachel Yondel, vice chair.
Excellent, thanks folks. We have an agenda that everyone received from Justin some time ago. Is everyone in favor of approving the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have, so before we, okay, go ahead.
Seconded.
Okay, so we've got a motion, we've got a second. Do we have any additions or amendments to it before we vote to finalize?
No.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, then we have minutes, and the minutes, it's been a hot minute, if you will, since we've met. I think these are from November, and everybody, again, should have had those. Anyone want to make a motion to approve those?
I will motion to approve the minutes from November.
Good enough. We've got a second from John. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? All right, we're good. That takes us to communications. As I said, the only communication I've received is just somebody making sure that we're going to be live streaming today. So we've got that handled. Anybody see anything else? Okay. Then what we're going to do next, we're going to go to public comments. We'll start with, I'm going to read off the number for anyone watching the live stream. You can call in. That number is 1-888-382-9556. I'll read that again, 1-888-382-9556. While we have a mad rush of people running to their phones to call in, is there anybody in the audience who would like to make a comment? And do know that we will have a second opportunity for public comments at the end of the meeting. Justin, anything coming in? Okay, folks, if you're out there watching and want to call in and we missed you, just hang on and we'll be back around to that later. Phone lines got that. Comments for people present got that. That takes us to reports. And we do have kind of a, we've got some slots open here, so we're not going to have all these today. Let's go through the ones that we have. And again, it's been a while, so I don't know what kind of reports people will provide. John, anything on natural features?
They reported on the last meeting, which I think was in January, about 4 parcels on Cork Street. The developer wanted to, he was requesting for a variance on the NFP ordinance in regards to slopes, and the Natural Features Protection Review Board denied their support of that request. And that was pretty much the entire meeting was the discussion of those 4 lots, which are basically going to be, they were proposing to build for, it looked like multi-family duplex type of housing on Cork Street. I think it was 112 through 135 West Cork Street. And one of those lots is actually owned by the city of Kalamazoo, which is a brownfield lot.
So it sounds like the Natural Features Protection did its job, and hopefully they'll find a place to develop instead or to develop more sustainably.
There was not a stated agenda after that. It was basically the whole meeting of them, why they should request why they wanted the variance for a driveway. Everything else seemed to fit within the NFP ordinances. It did seem as if some of the city administration, admin as they were defined, have had lots of conversations about that prior to it being in front of the NFP. So I think that that is a point of further conversation.
Any questions, comments? Then we'll jump to David with Wildlife Natural Resource Protection. Anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Then Rachel, anything at the Planning Commission?
Only one small update. There was no online recording for January, so I'm not really sure if they met that month or not. For this month, there's only a shift in ordinance. They're taking like the old ordinance and just shifting it from Appendix A to Chapter 50. It really doesn't change a whole lot, just streamlining some language. So not too much to report there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or anything before we? Okay, Thomas, Tree Committee.
Very little to report this month. We did meet in January and February, but with not much on the agenda because the DPW is mostly focused on snow removal, as you can guess. That's what they do in the wintertime. We did hear from Consumers Energy about their continued canopy trimming in the city. So if you see their trucks around, it's not storm damage. They're just trying to get ahead of the game on preventing limbs and trees from falling on the right-of-way. And we did approve the removal of a few trees for sidewalk construction on Kilgore Road and Portage Street. And that's all we did. Very little business right now.
Any comments on that? If we don't have any objections, we got ELPA is next. But I don't think we have a lot of updates on the others. So do you want to just hold the ELPA one to our as our last update?
Yeah, not a problem because it is kind of, I won't say earth-shattering, but it could change a lot of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we might, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to jump in. John wanted these as new business, so all the Asylum Lake stuff will be in new business.
Okay, so that makes sense. We'll move your update to new business. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Then anything on Parks and Rec?
No, I don't have any. I have no updates on that.
Okay. Kalamazoo River Watershed Council, the only update that I want to report here is that they have a new director. Doug McLaughlin, the director for some extended amount of time, has done a fantastic job. He is stepping down, and Bella Baez is taking the reins. And I've had a great working relationship with Doug and with Bella and other opportunities, and there's absolutely nothing, no shade towards Doug, but I'm really excited about Bella taking over. She's got huge energy, and she's really a big part of the community. So I'm excited to see what happens with the Watershed Council. Odor Task Force still has not ever met. Waste Working Group, nothing there. Native Species, Rachel?
We took a break from meeting for winter. We'll pick back up in the next month or so.
Okay. That takes us to staff updates. Justin?
Yeah, I'll give my presentation at the end in new business.
Okay. Yeah, so we ran through everything here pretty quick today. Other items in unfinished business, there are 2 items on our agenda, updates to bylaws. Justin, I believe we approved all of the proposed changes and sent that to the city commission. Is there an update here?
It's still working its way through city's legal department, so it's not at the commission yet. But
Okay.
Yep, yeah, everything's done on our end,
Okay,
just a transition.
so that's an unfinished business item that will just hang around till we are able to pull that off. I think we can continue to pause on the single-use plastics conversation until we have more time to dig into some research on that. I think it's important, but it can hang out in unfinished business for a while. Then next two meetings are kind of structural here. We've got to hold elections. Elections are supposed to be held at the first meeting of the year, so we're a little bit, well, it is the first meeting that we're holding a year. And then after that, we'll talk about the meeting dates. I sent out an email to judge everybody's interest. As I said, I'm content to serve as chair or to step aside. No need to fight over it. John said he is interested in an officer position. I spoke with him. He said he's more interested. Vice chair, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. That's correct.
Okay. Rachel, you are currently vice chair. Are you interested again?
If he is interested.
Are you sure? We have a vote here.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Anybody else interested in the officer position? Okay, as it is two people, two positions, I feel that we can do a show of hands on this unless people really want to be technical with votes. Yeah. Okay, bylaws say votes. So let's take a moment here. And then if we can
Send them on down this way.
Yeah, if we can pass them down to Justin, he'll give us an official count. And while people are wrapping up that, you see we have from Justin, we've got a list of dates proposed.
I put your name down.
Is,
Sorry.
if people have had a chance to look at these dates, are there any of these dates that are problematic for people that they want to raise to discuss?
Can you repeat that?
So it should be in front of you there somewhere.
There's a link for the dates.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin only put it, so the February, or sorry, 18th of next month, then April 15, March, April, May 20, June 17, July 15, August 19, September 16, October 21, November 18, and December 16. One thing I'd like, we don't need to do this now because we haven't had time to discuss it, but I do think it is something that the committee should do is to consider meeting a half hour or hour later. I know that puts more stress on the city staff, but I think we are potentially not being as inclusive as we could be, because people have to have the ability to get out of work in the afternoon to be able to attend meetings. So I don't propose that we need to handle that now, but I really think that the committee should address that for the next year's meetings, so we can be more open to membership.
And maybe get more people able to participate. And possibly get a few more members that are interested in participating because the hours are more agreeable to their job.
Yeah, I would support that.
Justin, if we did want to move to a half hour or hour later meeting time, we could keep these dates. How would we go about making that change with the city?
Yeah, so it's written in the bylaws, so it's, the bylaws gets updated. So we might have to rewrite, or, that section of the bylaws, because I can't remember what we agreed on last time. But right now, yeah.
I think I took the time out of the edited version that we sent forward.
Okay, then we might want to put a time in again, and we can put in the later time. I'll talk to the attorney's office. Yeah, so I'll check on that.
So we'll pick that up as an agenda item at our next meeting. And then we won't change the time at that point. It'll take a meeting or two to get that time changed, but we'll continue to pursue that. Does that sound good? Okay. Then, I suppose we should have an official results from our ballot counter.
We can have Mike come up and I'll do the tabulations.
Okay, so while Justin is counting the hotly contested election, we have a guest who's going to make a presentation for us today, Mr. Mike Stout with Michigan Waterways Stewards.
Well, good evening. And I want to say thank you to the city for their really generous support over the past few years. I'm the president and founder of Michigan Waterways Stewards. We're Michigan's #1 waterway stewardship organization of its type. What we do basically is create community-wide events and special events to steward our waterways. Our primary focus is on litter and trash removal from our rivers and creeks and riverbanks and riverside parks. This spring, we are holding our 5th community-wide event here in Kalamazoo. And our actually 12th event that we've held in the past 3 years. The event is the carrying for the Kazoo 26, our spring event. It's scheduled for March 28th from 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Now, there are 2 components to this event. We have a litter patrol, and depending on the volunteers, we'll cover the area from Comstock to Parchment along the river trail and the riverside. And then we have a focus on eradicating invasive species, trees and bushes. Last spring, we made great headways. We worked in Mayor's Riverfront and Burberry Park. This year, we're returning to finish the area at Mayor's Riverfront and cover the area in or next to the Red Arrow Golf Course. So there's 2 components, and so far, interest has been really great. It's been a bit of a slow start this year just because of the prolonged cold weather that's just had a hold on our state for so long, but I'm really excited to see the continued support, the excitement in the community, and I want to applaud the community for their generous outpouring of support and their hospitality from the beginning. You got something very special here, so thank you. So the event again is this March 28th. I encourage you to join us. Bring family members. There's something for anybody at any age to make it more fun. Again, the Growlers are providing hospitality. It'll be a free lunch and snacks and beverages at the stadium for lunch. And in appreciation for the volunteers' great work, they'll be offering a free ticket to each volunteer for a Growlers home game for the date and specifics to be determined later on. So this is a community-wide event. We've enjoyed the support of hundreds of volunteers. We've removed thousands, tens of thousands of pounds of litter and trash, a bunch of tires, and last year we cleared out, I'm guessing, a couple hundred cubic yards of invasive trees and bushes. I want to say that the parks are looking great. By eradicating the invasive trees and bushes, we get improved sight lines, it's a greater connectivity to the river. And the idea is to come back sometime in the near future, likely as early as this fall, and begin doing native planting of trees and bushes to return the natural biodiversity of the area, to encourage the return of small animals and birds and pollinators. The whole idea is in a matter of, it takes time, but let's say 2 or 3 years, we see this whole Riverside Park just take life and full of biodiversity and animals. So you guys have something really special here, be it your community spirit, your civic pride, Riverside Parks, beautiful Kalamazoo River, and we're thrilled to be a part of just the recovery and restoration of the area. So please mark your calendar for March 28th. Tell your friends and neighbors. Let's have some fun. And if the weather's like this, it'll be a great day to be outdoors. Any questions? Oh, I want to thank Justin and also BCK. That's Berrien, Calhoun, Kalamazoo, SISMA. Great experts in the treatment and managing the herbicides to take care of the eradication of trees and bushes. So we got some real professionals working with us on this event. All right. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And yeah, I did take part in it last year, and it was a fantastic event. I'm looking forward to going down to see Mayor's Riverfront this spring to see how effective our treatment was when the vegetation started to come back.
Well, those invasive trees and bushes, they're a beast. We've got to keep after it, but we've made great gains. They should be really proud of your volunteers and your community, of what you've all accomplished so far and so quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Mike, maybe I missed it, did you mention a website where people can easily learn more? Yeah,
the website, you've got two addresses. To make it easy, you can go to loveourwaterways.org or go to michiganwaterwaystewards.org. It's MI, abbreviated for Michigan, so it's miwaterwaystewards.org. Each one of them will get you to the same website.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Just to
you.
make sure everybody can get the information.
All right, thank you.
Okay, then we're going to keep on moving, and we do have a quorum at tonight's meeting, so we can conduct business, which is fantastic. And that allows us to invite our applicant to join the board to introduce himself to us. I believe that's probably you. All right, introduce yourself for us.
Hello, everybody. My name is Luke Zimmer, and yes, I'm an applicant to join the committee.
So we've gotten a chance to see your materials. Do you want to just take a minute to tell us about who you are and why you're interested in joining the ECC?
Yeah, so I moved to Kalamazoo, it was 3 years ago, last December. I'm really looking for ways to get more involved in the community and specifically with the city. I have a strong belief that the city and local government is here to serve us, but we also have a responsibility to serve our local government in capacities like this. I'm also very interested in learning just more about how local government operates and works, and this is a great opportunity for me to do that and also participate at the same time. And generally, I think it's difficult for someone my age, growing up with Earth Days and hearing about climate change and global warming and all of those things, not to have a concern about the environment these days. And a lot of the issues that we hear about are global environmental issues, but it's really our local government that has the power to change things that we see tangibly every day. So.
And so what we usually do, everybody has an opportunity to ask you a couple questions, and then after that, we'll take a few minutes to discuss and vote. So what do people think? Any questions?
Sure, I have one. What is a local environmental issue that you are particularly passionate about?
Yeah, so right now I live near the Kalamazoo Golf Club. And I know it's absolutely a temporary issue for our particular neighborhood, but I know that a lot of neighborhoods around here deal with noise pollution and with other kinds of pollution. And that's definitely one of those things that I'm interested in helping to address with a group like this. I've experienced it myself firsthand, but noise pollution in particular can have a real impact on people's individual health. Just the stress of dealing with those things on a day in and day out basis can have real impacts on how you feel, on anxiety and your general well-being. Quite frankly, that's one of those things too that, our environment, it has deeper effects on us than a lot of us realize. And this is a great way for us to address some of those things that have, far deeper impacts than just how green a space is or how beautiful a space is. It actually affects us personally and individually as humans.
We're going to ask a few more questions, sure, but I realized I didn't ask there's 2 requirements to be a member of the ECC. One, do you live in the city? I know your thing says you do, but I just want to hear you say it, confirm it.
Yes, I live in the city. I live on Stevens Avenue.
Okay.
Just north of the Portage line, but I checked and I'm in the city.
Excellent. As long as you're in the city limits, that's what matters. Then the other thing is, do you care about environmental issues? So those are the only 2 requirements. It sounds like you meet both of those. So basics out of the way. So more questions.
Just real quick, and I can't recall the specifics, but it seems like you were either an educator or assistant educator or manager for community education for National Geographic or something a few years back. What was that all about? And you may have included that in there, but I was having some glitches and I stalled out there.
Yeah, so in my day-to-day job, I help nonprofits and associations manage online communities for their members. And that was my capacity at the National Geographic Society. I worked in their education department. So what we did was essentially create a space for pre-K through 12 educators in public schools, private schools, homeschools, all kinds of education environments, taking the research and the work that National Geographic explorers did and translating that into classroom materials. So I'm not an educator myself, but I've worked closely with educators, and in that particular capacity got to see a lot of really cool work from folks who are National Educators of the Year, people who are really dedicated to their craft and also incorporating issues deeply tied to the environment into their curriculum.
Great, thank you.
How do you think that you could be effective on this board and to help, I guess, push the agenda of the environment towards the city policies?
Well, I definitely have a lot to learn with regard to that. But again, in my day-to-day job, working primarily with associations and with nonprofits, I have a fair amount of experience working with boards, with committees, and understanding how boards and committees operate with regard to communicating to leadership. And I'm hoping I can bring some of that experience to this particular committee. And not that I want to dictate any procedures or anything like that, but definitely have experience that I can provide. And really, if I do get the opportunity to participate, learning how this particular group operates, where some of the gaps are, I don't have environmental expertise necessarily, but I have a willingness to learn and a willingness to kind of fill the shoes that need to be filled if there are any gaps. So hopefully that's what I can bring.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you foresee any issues meeting the time requirements? Every third Wednesday, 4:30 to 6 as of now?
Right now, I don't. I'm very lucky in because I work for myself as a contractor and an independent consultant. I have quite a bit of flexibility in my schedule, and so this particular meeting time is absolutely workable for me. I will say off the bat, though, on April 15th, I will be out of town celebrating my birthday, so I won't be able to make that particular meeting.
I think that's okay. And so just for context, the Environmental Concerns Committee is an advisory body. There are some committees, subcommittees within the city structure that have more of a mandate to create particular ordinances, zoning, whatever that might be. Our mandate is to provide recommendations to the city commission. So I've said before, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, we don't have any power, which is true, but the reality is we have people on this board who are connected to a lot of different organizations who have a lot of different sets of knowledge, and it's a bully pulpit kind of a thing. We can use our ability to influence and outreach and help to convince the city to do the right thing on environmental issues. So it's in a way it's low stakes because it doesn't change what the city does necessarily, but as we know, the environment's not really low stakes. It's the only one we have. I like the idea of bringing some noise pollution awareness. I think that could be something we don't talk enough about other than when we get upset about leaf blowers. Yeah, so maybe we'll bring that issue back up. Yeah, it could be worthwhile. All right, any other questions?
No.
Okay, so our general practice is that, not that it terribly matters because we are live streaming, if you want to just go sit out in the hallway for 5 minutes or so, we'll have a quick discussion amongst ourselves and take a vote, and then we'll come out and grab you.
Awesome. Thank you all for the opportunity. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you. I will open it to the group. Anybody want to?
I would say he would be a good voice to add.
So should we, okay.
Off the record?
Everything's on the record.
Okay.
It's an open meeting.
On the record, I would say he'd be a good voice to add to this committee, that he could bring some good skills to what we're trying to do.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that. I think we should bring him on.
I'm supportive of it. I think that he is enthusiastic, and he's got, I like that educational thing that I was questioning him about. That type of thing, I think, leads to good networking skills and being able to work across the field. So, yeah, I'm supportive.
He doesn't have a ton of experience, but that's not a bad thing. He's got interest and he's got some skills that aren't common on the committee. So, yeah, I think a different voice is a good thing to have. So, it seems like we're pretty obviously in consensus. I can just go grab him and tell him to come in.
Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would leave 3 more seats open? Right? Justin, does that mean there's 3 seats remaining to be filled?
If we're going with 9 members, that means we would have 2 seats if Luke sits.
Luke, so the will of the committee is unanimous, and that we would like to welcome you to be a member of the ECC.
So just, the procedure is that
Yeah.
it goes to the city commission to be approved. So if the timing is right, then you would be an official member starting next month.
Right, so I would encourage you to join us next month. It depends upon whether or not the city commission has had, so we'll send our recommendation to approve your application to the city, but then the city commission has to approve it before it's formal. So would encourage you to come next month. I don't know if it will be formally approved by that point. Probably will be, but you can just expect to be on the committee as a voting member next month. And so, Justin, you can correct me if the way that our structured terms are, all terms technically begin in January. So, and then the terms are 3 years, is that right, Justin? Okay, so this appoints you for a 3 years starting January 1, 2026. So just so you know, there's that odd, it's not exactly 3 years from when you're appointed. So yeah, you can hang around if you want, or you can just come back next month, but we'll go ahead and finish up what we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the other item, we've got a couple of things left on the agenda today. We're doing pretty good on time. One of the things that I think we need to do, and I see Justin put this on there before I even got to sending that out, is we need to restructure our subcommittees. We have a lot of subcommittees, more than we probably need. Some of them are probably more narrowly focused than what they need to be. And we haven't done a good, thorough evaluation of the subcommittee structures and liaisons in many years. So what I sent out is just a starting point. I don't think we need to finish there. But we have basically two different types of subcommittees or liaisons, as I'm calling them. We have the city commissions that deal with work that potentially has an environmental component. So it's not, so I think the tree committee is the only one on which the ECC has a vote. Yeah, so I know we have a vote on the ECC. I don't think we have a vote on any others.
Asylum.
Oh, do we have a vote? Okay.
That's what they told me.
Okay,
So
well, good.
I've been voting.
Good.
So- You do.
I didn't know that we had that. But so most of these, it's like what Rachel's doing with planning. It's just going, or what you're doing in natural features, it's just going and seeing if there's something that is moving through the pipeline that we need to know about. And potentially, if you're there as a voice from the ECC, you can provide some input at that meeting just to raise awareness of environmental issues. So that's a liaison role. And then the subcommittees, those are, the different topics of environmental issues. And those can have anywhere from, Justin, what's the maximum number? Can we have 3, or is it 2 is the maximum?
For Open Meetings Act?
Yeah.
Less than quorum.
Okay, so let's just say that those subcommittees can be as large as 3. And we don't have a set expectation. This is something for you to think about. Look, we generally expect people to be on at least one subcommittee or one liaison role. Generally, people tend to do 2. And that's just, and then you saw how we do our meetings. We have a part at the beginning where we all report back so we can raise issues and bring some awareness to something if it's an item we need to discuss. Like for the Asylum Lake issue, we wrote a letter in support of opposing the rezoning of that piece of property. And we've done some other things too. So that long preamble. I don't think we should vote on this today, but I would like everybody to take the suggestions that I gave as a guide, and then maybe next month, if people have an opportunity to think about those suggestions, and then bring your ideas as either those suggestions, just take them the way they are, or how we can change them to best suit what we need to do. What does everybody think on that?
I think that's a good idea. I had responded to you about the different, largely I totally agreed with everything that you had said there. I kind of like the structure of that, and it gives us something to work with as far as figuring out exactly how everything fits together. The one thing, and I don't think that I did include, as far as the liaisons go, you didn't list Asylum Lake on there as a separate one, but it's going to be kind of moot anyway, because as we're going to discuss this here next, I think that particular board is going to be going away. So, so you hit it right on the head, even if you didn't mean to, as far as your list of liaisons there.
Yeah, that wasn't intentional. I stuck it in the, because what I was thinking in grouping it with Kleinstuck is there are probably issues that are similar to, say, and maybe we could throw Bow in the Clouds in there as well. These large green spaces that not necessarily city property, but they are in the city, they're resources for the city, so they are environmental issues of concern for city residents.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Asylum, and again, as we're going to get into this, I think if that does happen, it's going to be the Kalamazoo County Parks and Recreation Committee, Advisory Committee, that you would want to have a liaison on that. And it's going to be actually a broader view than just on Asylum Lake. So, but you're absolutely right about the green space thing. I mean, I think it's very important that we have each and every aspect of large green spaces, or that we have some sort of representation to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening with those green spaces.
Other thoughts?
Just a question of clarification, David. Right now, I see 5 subcommittees listed in your communication. Are you suggesting that we have an eye for trimming it down to 3?
I don't see any reason not to narrow that number down. So what I was trying to come up with is what are like the big groups of related topics. But like David said, we want them to be broad enough so that they're, right now I feel like one of the problems is our topics have gotten pretty specific. And so a lot of the times our updates are no update. Yeah, if we had a committee that was, energy, infrastructure, and transportation, that's really broad. But maybe one month there's something that the city is doing with buses that's relevant. Maybe another month there's something that the city's doing that is changing the energy efficiency in buildings. I was just trying to come up with some big categories that would not be too big to be unwieldy, but big enough to be flexible.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what I would like this to be is like a starting point. Take a minute, between now and next month, look at it. We can make small tweaks, we can make big changes, but this gives us all a chance. It's a starting point for us to think about what those committees might look like. And to Justin, when will Luke be added to the ECC email list?
Once he's approved. So process, I'll fill out a form tomorrow, I'll send it to the clerk, and then I'm not sure when they'll meet again, them being the city commission, but once he's approved by them, he'll be on the email list.
Just looking. I don't know if I have it anywhere, but Luke, not like on the record. If you can just get me your email address, then I will send you the document that we're talking about so that you'll have a chance to look at these committees as well, because you might as well have an opportunity to weigh in and look at ones that you think might be of interest for you, or how you might want to edit those too. So I'll send that email to you so you have a chance before next month. Justin, anything from looking at that raises red flags?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, you all have the right to create subcommittees, so yeah, it's your right in the bylaws.
The only one that I think it's incredibly important for us to be involved, and we're not at the moment, but I'm not sure how. Well, I'm just not, just put it bluntly, I don't know how welcome we'll be. At the Brownfields one, is that fully public? Is that open? And would we be able to at least have a seat in the room to observe?
Yeah, those meetings are public.
Okay.
I'll look up the meeting schedule here in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, and Luke, some of these meetings are recorded or virtual or live streamed. Not all of them have to be attended in person, so that's something to think about when you choose which ones might be most interest to you.
Does the subcommittee need to be based on an actual department within the city? Let's just say that we have a subcommittee on the creation and formation of green spaces, classification of zoning within the city. Can we do that as an advisory board to encourage people potentially taking action on that?
So, as I understand the question, and Justin, you can think about this, I see this as liaison roles and subcommittee roles. Liaison roles attend or observe city boards, advisory commissions, and either comment or, where the rare cases we have a vote, but they bring that information back to inform us. Subcommittees are topical based rather than based directly with a city department or task. Our mandate is for issues of environmental concern in the city of Kalamazoo, which is one reason why I think it's important that we stay involved with Asylum Lake, because even if it's not something that the city has a management role in, it's an environmental issue of concern within the city.
Right.
And if something were to happen in the future, we could advise the city that it would be, that it's in the interest of the residents of Kalamazoo to take some sort of action to get involved in Asylum Lake in the future, if that were the case. Even if it's not their property, that's within the city limits.
Okay.
Justin, does that sound appropriate?
Yeah, that all sounds good to me. I think, John, kind of what you're describing would be something that this committee would create as a recommendation to the city commission for the green zoning idea that you have there. So that's something to think about too. And then the Brownfield Authority meets on, looks like the third Thursday in CPED offices, which are on Rose Street at 7:45 a.m. So.
Good. And another element of what you're talking about, John, I think there is nothing that says we cannot directly address citizen concerns to citizens. You know, we've often talked in the past, but there's been the logistical difficulties. I think if we could do it, it wouldn't be a bad idea for the ECC to try to find a way to show up occasionally at neighborhood association meetings. Whether it's one person, two people, but just to let these neighborhoods and more people know that the ECC is here and we're a sounding board for the environmental concerns of people in the city. So we can do outreach. We don't do much outreach, but we can do that. Any other thoughts on directions to take subcommittee work or comments? Anything? All right, then that will be something we'll come back to next month, and hopefully we'll be able to work out a proposal for a new subcommittee / liaison, whatever we want to call it, structure. Okay, then we have the big topic of the day, which is Asylum Lake. And I will just leave it to that and turn it over to our Asylum Lake rep and supported by our Asylum Lake veteran.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start on this. Chronologically, apparently this started last fall when Western started reviewing their future plans. and their current budgeting process. And they pointed out that they haven't had an actual increase at all since I think about 2000 or 2001. So they've been going on essentially the same budgetary dollars coming in. And it became obvious, and they did nothing to hide it. And I suppose I should back up. It was Jeff Brenneman, I think, is the vice president at Western.
Jan Vanderkleed as well.
And she was not there. So in any case, he was the one making the pitch. And they did nothing to, Western has done nothing to hide the fact that they really want to cut every dollar they can out of the budget that is not going directly to student support and promoting the educational goals and it's that, and that's kind of where the rubber hit the road at the meeting. They had some dollar figures that they were throwing out that Western said that they were spending approximately $150,000 a year on the maintenance of Asylum Lake. That was kind of called into question because if you go back and take a look at what the Asylum Lake Management Council has been using the foundation, and I'm assuming everybody knows about how Asylum Lake Council has been funded over the years, but when you go back and take a look at the minutes and the budget submissions, it would appear, and I don't know for sure, and we won't know here for a little bit, but it appears that the foundation has been paying for a lot of things that Western seems to think has been coming out of their pocket. And I don't know exactly how that's all going to wash out, and even if it would change the formula as far as how they want to proceed with what they do with Asylum Lake. Long and the short of it is, Western entered into negotiations with Kalamazoo County to transfer the ownership and the management of the Asylum Lake Preserve over to the county in the Parks and Rec Division. And they had Dave Rakowitz, I think, was the representative from the county who showed up and gave the spiel about the whole county park system and how it works. There is, kind of to point here, there is an actual Kalamazoo County Parks and Rec Commission that does a lot of the budgetary work and the actual recommendations and management of how the Parks Department implements or fulfills their duties. So that is something that I think that ultimately this committee will want to have some representation on. In any case, so it would be transferred. And what's interesting is, if you want me to keep going like this, just kind of shotgunning it, what was interesting is that, and Western made this very clear, that they understand that it is a preserve and not a park, that it is not for active use by citizens, but rather passive and for educational purposes. And that is in the legislative language that gave Western the possession of this property, because there is no actual deed that's associated with this. It was just legislatively given to Western. And it specifically says that essentially conservation easement in that people will not pay to use it. It's restricted to passive use, and that there will be no development on it. And the only thing that's going to happen with this transfer is Western's name would be taken off of that language, and Kalamazoo County would be inserted into that language, and nothing else essentially changes, including they would take responsibility for the foundation money, the grant that has funded the use and the management of Asylum Lake Preserve for, I can't remember how many years, quite a few years, 2006, I think that was developed. So essentially, it looks like, and both, they entered into a memorandum of understanding to go further into the weeds on this, so to speak. Probably shouldn't say that when you're talking about invasive species out there, but so they're now engaged in very nitpicky points as far as who and when and how they would transfer those responsibilities. My question to them was, and I'm still not quite sure, the answer was super duper vague, that the county, which I'm retired from, the county has to take a look at their bottom line and their budget as well. And Asylum Lake, the way those covenants are written, is not going to give the county any kind of income. The only thing the county is going to gain from this is the foundation money, which is limited to the management, very specifically to the management of that property. So in my view, all the county is doing is taking on the headaches of ownership. They're not going to get any kind of money out of it. So I don't know where that's all going to go. But it certainly had the feel of a done deal. I mean, everybody seemed to be high on it. The county seemed to be high on doing this, and Western seems to be, I won't say desperate, but anxious to offload this. I can't say that it's been a headache, but offload this responsibility. So that's basically where it stands. They have now moved into the actual discussion of how this kind of transfer would take place. Now, one of the interesting notes on this from the county representative was that as far as public safety goes, for all of the county's properties, they rely on the public safety in the jurisdiction of where each one of those property lies. Now, otherwise it's Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department. This, obviously, as you had said, lies within the city of Kalamazoo, meaning Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. So that is something, obviously, that we would also somehow have some interest in kind of keeping an eye on. So there's a lot of loose ends of this thing, but like I said, and John can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got the feel of a done deal. It's not really going to change. If it does go down, I don't see it really radically changing the use of the nature of that property.
One of the things that I haven't seen, or I'm not sure, the transferring of the property, assuming it, is finalized and such, it doesn't offer Asylum Lake any more protection than what it already has.
That's correct. My concern is it's going to eventually offer it less. But if what they started out with is true, that the county accepts it under the same restrictions that Western has been managing it with, then it should have the exact same protections as it has had. That was what was stated.
So just one more question before you jump in. Does moving it to county ownership affect its inclusion in the NFP?
That didn't come up. I would think that it would not, since it's still in the city. And as far as the natural features go, nothing's going to, I don't think there would be any kind of change or in the use of it. It's the property contiguous to it, and that certainly won't be changed. That is still something that property along Stadium Drive is still going to be subject to.
Justin, you jumped up like you were going to say something when I asked about the NFP.
Oh, yeah, I know enough to get in trouble, and maybe I will. But no, so, I mean, so the way it works, state and county do not follow local zoning.
That's what I thought.
They're higher. They're above us. So that's what I'd add there.
I'll fill in a couple of blanks. The conversation, it's a two-part process. Right now that the county is in discussions, and I think that's a done deal, strictly my opinion, that they're going to transfer the management of Asylum Lake to the county almost immediately. There is some discussion, and that'll be based on the state decision on transferring the ownership of the property from Western Michigan University to the county. One of the main concerns that we have had, we being ALPA, which I'm no longer the chairperson of, or on the council, is that Asylum Lake there was an establishment of the Declaration of Conservation that was intended and has provided very good protections for Asylum Lake. And part of the contention that we have had is that there seems to be an omission of the first statement within the Declaration of Conservation, which was ecological integrity and natural features. And there was also some questions being asked as far as how the county defines passive recreation versus how it was defined within the structure of the council. And I believe Dave addressed it correctly when he said that there has been spoken promises in regards that things will not change. Now, how that translates to the future, actions speak louder than words. So I think it's a wait and see on that, but that's what they're talking about right now is the transfer of the management. And Dave was correct in this thing that there was this foundation. Kalamazoo Foundation does have a fund which is about $3 million, which the county will be absorbing into their county. And according to the county, that those Kalamazoo funds will be strictly used for the maintenance of Asylum Lake. Now, how the county defines it, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know what type of legal wiggle room they have in regards to their definition of maintenance.
I can address that a little bit in that it's the foundation that would provide the wiggle room in that, and the foundation, the language there is very clear as far as what that money can be used for. And if it's not used for that, then the money's gone. So the county, again, is going to be very restricted in the use of that money. I simply don't see what the county's getting out of it, to tell you the truth. But I think actually it may not be bad because the county's got a large parks and recreation division. They've got people that could way more likely go out and enforce ordinances that it's hard to get. Western's police department, you can't ask those guys to go down there on a random basis to write a couple of dog at large tickets. But the county, they've got people that could do that. So I see there could be a lot of benefits for the property. I just don't see what the county's getting out of it. Yeah. Not to throw cold water on it, but that's just the question in my mind.
And part of that, some of the community concern is the fact is that the county, and part of the MOU agreement, and they haven't written the details of the interlocal agreement, was the fact is that they continually are using the word park instead of the word preserve. And there's a huge difference when it comes to the management of a preserve versus the management of a park. And so it's been a lot of people in the community's focus of making sure that it's being preserved as a preserve, not as a park. So again, actions.
Just a couple points. One, I don't know what our role will be going forward. I mean, that's a clear question. What I would hope you'll be able to do, David, is just watch this and see if there's anything that raises a red flag or just is an issue of concern for people who care about the preserve, and if there's anything we can do, whether it's, request the city do something or, whatever it might be. If there's some place we can plug in to stay involved, please, bring that to our attention. And then along similar lines, Justin, question you either may know the answer for or you can ask. If there is a county level board that addresses the preservation of this property, would it be appropriate, legally or otherwise, for the ECC to be included as a representative of the residents of the city?
I can check. I don't have the answer for that now.
Actually, I have got a good idea, and that would be no. The commission seats are by appointment and from the county, I believe, and they've got them. X number of them are filled, like one from the sheriff's, one seat from the sheriff's department, one from finance, one. Anyway, there's a very limited number of seats on that, and they fill them, and because that question came up, and I was just looking at my notes as you were asking that. I don't see, I didn't put any answers on that, but there's going to be public meetings, so it would be a non-voting. If there is a liaison, it's going to be a non-voting, but I'm sure that they would be open to that type of thing. Having a voting position there, that's something different.
Are we referring to the Parks and Recreation Commission?
Commission, yes.
So I have the website up right now, and there are seats that are specifically designated for certain, like road commissioner, drain commissioner. There are several for just the general public as well. Some that may have termed out at the end of last year, so it could be something to look into. I don't know how up to date this is.
Does it say how they fill those seats? Is it an appointment by the county? Is it, or you applied kind of like what we went through with
Well, my concern or my thought here, though, is that this is a very large property that's within the city limits that is going to require a different management protocol because it's a preserve rather than a park. So there probably, or there should be, I don't know if there will be, but there should be another layer, another body that discusses the management protocols that are applied to that property. If something like that is created, I think the ECC could make an argument that we belong there as a representative body of the environmental concerns of the city, of city residents. But that wouldn't be for the county parks board. That would be for something specific to Asylum Lake.
Justin, how would the transference of that property, if it's transferred from Western and transferred to the county, and it's within the city of Kalamazoo, what authority would the city of Kalamazoo have in regards to that oversight, or at least as an advisory entity?
I'd guess none. So you have Western, which is a state institution, and then, you know, the county is the county. So just the hierarchy. We're towards the bottom of that one.
So what you're saying is that the city would have no jurisdiction or no input into that space once or if Western transfers it to the county, even though it is within the city of Kalamazoo?
Yeah, I mean, I am not a lawyer or an expert in this, but yeah, that'd be my guess if I had to put down an answer. It's also, I mean, it's private. I mean, it's public property, but it's owned by, you know, two entities that, for lack of, I don't know, outrank the city in that regard. So it's a state institution and then the county.
Could the city commission, or could it, like what David was saying, have a conversation with the county and initiate that conversation and say, we think that for the sake of our citizens and the community that this would be a practical, prudent thing to do?
Yeah, the charge of this board is to make recommendations to the city commission. So if that's something you would like to recommend to the city commission, I think that's well within your right.
What do people think?
I think that that's a really good idea, and it should be done as soon as possible because this is proceeding fast.
So I'm going to try to summarize what we're talking about. The city commission to recommend to the county that the Environmental Concerns Committee be included in any body that's created to establish or monitor management protocols for Asylum Lake. Is that what people are thinking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some more inclusive language just to try to, you know, not get somehow nitpicked out of it. But yes, that is essentially what we need, is that the city of Kalamazoo via ECC be included in any kind of board or commission that oversees the use and management of the Asylum Lake properties for, because it's within the city of Kalamazoo and we have a distinct interest in that.
Thomas, you had a quizzical look on your face there.
No, I think his wording is very good. My quizzical look was basically what we've already discussed is what's in it for the county. And did they express why they wanted to take over management when they basically just manage parks and trails?
The answer that I've heard is because they want to focus in on their core responsibilities, which is the education of the students. Now, granted, that's excluding the education to the students on the benefits of our green areas and our natural spaces, but I won't get into that conversation. So, and I also think, David, when you're writing that or penning that thing, is that I think I know that there is a very strong contingent within the citizenry and the community of Kalamazoo that has a very passionate interest in how Asylum Lake is going to be managed moving forward, particularly since the county is going to, from what I understand, dissolve the Asylum Lake Policy and Management Council, which has been a very good way of managing the preserve. We've gotten a lot of things done there that would not have happened if it wasn't for that specific council's actions.
If I can follow up on that, and I hate to keep beating this thing, beating the dead horse on this thing, but the reason that I was concerned, and I had asked that question, was because Rakowitz from the county was touting and had a nice brochure about the Woolham Land Preserve, which is the old Boy Scout camp, basically. And looking through, I read that through before the meeting, and yes, there is a facet of that that is regenerating some of the natural flora and fauna out there and invasive controls. But there's also a huge component of kayak rental, camp. They said that there's potential campsites in the future, or at least in their master plan, they had to address that. And it was way more interactive as far, it exceeded passive recreation in my view, and that's why I was so concerned, because that's what they're touting as a preserve when clearly it's a park. And I shouldn't say that necessarily. It's kind of a jackalope. There's certain aspects of that chunk of property that are going to be way more developed for the natural aspect of them. But on the other hand, there is going to be a lot more actual recreation, I believe, promoted in that space.
Rachel, you haven't weighed in. Anything you want to add?
I don't think I have anything beyond what we're already discussing.
Then so in the interest of time, Justin, if we were to make and vote on and pass a motion to the effect that we've been discussing, would that have the same purpose or weight if it were as a letter to the ECC? Or, sorry, letter to the City Commission from the ECC.
Yes, if you made a motion, I could kind of summarize things. We could get that over to them. We'd have to do it now in public. We couldn't do it via email. Right. Yeah.
So the Robert's Rules Chair is not supposed to make motions. If someone would like to make a motion, I would entertain a motion. I think it's the consensus, the sense of the committee, that we would like to request that the City Commission request that the ECC have a seat in management discussions that the county holds about Asylum Lake.
Before we make a motion, I'm wondering if we're kind of coming around to the idea that there should be a new advisory body for Asylum Lake, and the city would request membership on that committee, that advisory committee, because that seems like really what needs to happen, not just to go through the county's Park and Recreation Committee, which has a much broader scope for parks, that we would feel much more comfortable if there were actually a advisory committee that would then report to the county and the city both. I don't know if that's too broad or not, but that seems where...
I think the city is likely to not act on that, but I still think it's important to make that recommendation. If somebody would like to make that motion, something along those lines, I'd be willing to entertain that here before we move on, or we can think about it and come back to that at another meeting.
Make the motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we ask the Kalamazoo City Commission to contact Western and Kalamazoo County and request a presence via ECC on any kind of council or management board that is directly supervising the Asylum Lake properties that lie within the city of Kalamazoo.
So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Again, in the interest of time, I'd like to keep this brief, but do we have discussion on this point?
No?
No.
Then we'll take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? She was in favor. Oh, I think your microphone hit your microphone.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd have to abstain from this one.
Okay, so we had one abstention due to potential concerns of a conflict of interest, which is good ethics, thank you. If only ever, well, I won't finish that sentence. So, Justin, we do have a recommendation. We would ask that you share that with the City Commission.
Yep, I will do that.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are pushing up against time. There are two items that I don't think that we can manage in limited time and without more information. Justin, can you just tell us what this amateur sports complex item is?
I will punt to John. I have the background, but John asked for this to be added.
Okay.
The reason that I've got it on there is because if you look at the Oshtemo Township Master Plan for 2040, I know it's a ways out, but there is a proposed development that wants to expand northward from West Main to H Avenue. And there is a large section of City of Kalamazoo property. I have not done my research enough to say that the city actually owns that area, that land, but I know that it's within the City of Kalamazoo, and how that potential development is going to impact that, and what the city's position is on that piece of property.
This sounds like an important issue to me that deserves attention. If I can request that you just share with us any information you have, and we add this to the agenda for next month?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then was this also your point number 8 about green spaces?
It's tied into that.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I do think that how we advise the city on green spaces looks like it's increasingly important. So Justin, if we can add both of those points to next month's agenda, I'd like to pick those up. Then the last thing here, before we close out with comments from the public and from commissioners, Justin, do you have a sustainability report that you can share with us?
Yeah, I can run through it very quick. So I gave this.
Well, just if you want, we can, if you want to elaborate on it, we can do it next month, or we can go through it briefly this month, whatever is best for you.
Yeah, let's punt it to next month. You all can pretty much see the same presentation that I gave the City Commission on Monday. But I do think, a lot of this data here, it's important, as we're thinking of subcommittees, to think about it. I like the idea of an energy efficiency or energy use subcommittee.
And we do have, so everyone got the agenda from Justin with the link on it. That link has the packet on the city's website, which has that. So please, if everybody can just take a look at that before next month, so we can have a conversation with Justin about that report.
Yeah, if we're going to move things to those topics to next month, one of the questions that I have is when we talk about sustainability programs, it would seem to me that sustainability would also kind of flow into our green spaces and the larger picture, because if I look and if I read the sustainability program that is within the city, there seems to be zero mention of that.
Yeah, we'll have a bigger discussion. So Justin, unless there is a pressing need next month, it might be a good idea to withhold having guests, because it sounds like we're going to have another packed agenda.
Yeah, we can punt that. The only thing I will say, and I want to see some of this, and I want this to be included in the conversation for next time, but I want it to kind of sit and simmer. I think we need to distinguish between public green space and private green space.
Yeah.
There's a limit to what the city can do on private property.
Absolutely.
So I just want that, to simmer a bit.
So if you want to check the phone lines, I will read that number here real quick again. So for the public, if you are watching the live stream and you're interested in making a comment, it is 1-888-382-9556. Again, 1-888-382-9556. Justin, anything coming in? And what I would ask, what we're going to do is we're just going to go around to do our commissioner comments. We'll leave that line open while we're doing commissioner comments, so people have a few seconds to dial their numbers if they are interested.
No comment.
No comment. I feel like I've talked enough tonight.
Agree. No comment for now.
I do have a brief comment, just to let people know that the the Kalamazoo Earth Day events are in motion, in planning. You can check out kalamazooearthday.com for details about those events. Rachel?
No comment.
Justin, do we have anybody who has dialed in? Okay, with that, then I will call us adjourned for the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
That was a lot today.
That's good. That's good.